Okay, so now let's go into the next, and excuse my voice for this, but let's go into the next part of this. Let's get our sphere in here, and it's probably gonna have a different pattern, and then let's put some reflection probe on this and some emissive mapping. So here's our environment. We don't really have our probe yet, so I'm going to open up Substance Painter, which I've imported the file that I gave you all to import into it. It's just a simple spherical thing, and if we take a look at the way the object is unwrapped, you'll see it's really badly unwrapped, but it just does a job for the point of the class. So we'll come back in here, and then I'm going to go ahead, and I want something reflective because it's going to be reflective. So, you know, throw something like cobalt on it. And we aren't looking for perfection, we're just looking for reflection. You could even do your own. You could do a fill layer right here, and then you could say, well, let me do one thing, actually. Well, let me do one thing. I did have the emission turned on, and you'll see that. And where you do that is right here. You see if I put plus, here I'll push minus, and I'll say plus, and say emissive right there, and it adds it in. And my emissive map is right there to choose from. But if I turn this metal up, like that, so now it's all metal, and I turn this roughness to black, I'll get a really reflective sphere. Okay, this isn't technically the correct, you know, real metal, but it's going to work for our needs. And then what I'd like you to do is do different colors inside the middle of it, so we have something that breaks up the space. I think I did a face during class. Let's just do something different than that. For now, I'll use a colored like gold. I'll put gold over the top of it. And then we'll use our mask map real quick. And we'll come over to here and make sure it's set to white, which it isn't, so we push X. Oops, I pushed the wrong one. There. Now we make sure it's set to white, which it is. And we'll come straight on and just put gold in these areas. Sometimes, obviously, it's easier to do it if you go to the 2D, 3D. We can just do all of this here. That way, make our life really, really easy. Okay. Alright, so we'll go back out to here. And then we'll come to here. And now we've got two reflective materials. You can make it, I would like for you to make them a little bit more bumpy. So if you really want to get some kind of bump on top of this, you could do something, this concrete probably is. I'll throw it on. And what I'll do is I'll come look at it and see if it's got enough bump map. And the way we can do is we can take the color off, and now we've got that in there. We can take the height and the metal off, or take the rough and the metal off, and now we've got that. Just like that. So, and I've got a little bit of a mistake right there I gotta fix. And then if I want, I could even put a mask on this one and say white mask, and then come back over here and go back to our 2D. Grab all of this. We'll make it X so it changes to black, and we'll deselect all of this from the map. Good. And then while we're here, we'll come down here, and we'll see where it looks like I hit. Well, this one might be easier if I just do it over here. Click. There we go. Okay, looks pretty good. Alright, so I've got my two different metal types right here. So next thing I want to do, and one's got more bump on it than the other, is do some kind of emissive texture. So I'm going to put all of this real quick inside of one folder. And again, I'm so used to Photoshop, you select everything, make a folder, and then put it in, and maybe they will when Adobe takes some control over. I'm going to call this metals for now. Like that. And we'll call this base metal. That. Alright, and we're going to come back up here and close it. Now we're going to work on our emission layer. So, emissive is easy to do. What I usually do is just do a fill. Alright, and then I say fill. I'm going to go ahead and pick a color. I'm going to do only emissive at this point, like this. And then I'm going to say, no color. I'm just going to take this emissive color and go to white. Or whatever color I want. At this point, we'll do something like purple. Okay, and it looks like everything's just kind of glowing. It's lost a lot of its luster, but what we're going to end up doing is we're going to fill a black mask over the top of it so it disappears. We might as well name this emissive. Oops. And then we're going to come with our brush, and we're going to go to make sure we're in white in our mask, and come in here and just do whatever we think we need to do. We can do like this. You know what else we could add? We could add a height map to this. So let's do that by going over to Emissive channel and say height. We're going to turn our height down so when I paint in here, now when I paint into the mask, it will paint inward too. So let me see. Let me do one from here. Actually, let me go to the 2D, 3D. Wish the buttons worked, but the program I'm using to do capturing is not there. So we'll do that, and then I'll come in and do a thinner one on each side of it. Like that. Actually, I want it thinner than that. You have to forgive my wife's over there working. She works on game dev, so when you hear that typing, that's somebody making a game. So you know. Okie dokie. I can't tell you what she's making, so don't ask. Okay. She can't tell me anyway. So. All right. So yeah, and I made it a little bit of a mess right there, but that's fine. Let's say F for screen here, and then we'll do. You know, we could do fun stuff and just do a stripe all the way up here or something. I'm not worried about it at this point. Have fun with it. Do something cool. You know, you could even do one on the top here. But I just want to get some kind of emission in here. I'd like to do some emissive on the bottom too, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Like this. And there we go. Okay, so there. Now, one thing we can do is we can change, what I'd do is I'd change this color now to white so we can control the color. Now, you know what, you can, if you change this to white, you can control the color in the game easier, but with the purple, we can just add more purple to it, or we can even make it cooler bad except it wins. Anyway, after we're done with that, then we're going to come up to our export textures and take a look at it. And what we do, we want to make sure that we do HD render pipeline, metallic, melon, standard. Let me make sure I name this correctly, come to think of it. Angry Bot is what I called it. We're going to call this straight sphere. There. So what we're going to do now is export it now that we've got our names all set up correctly. Actually, that's fine. And then we're going to come over to File. We're going to go Export, select Export Textures, and then we're going to make sure it's going to the right folder, which in this case is Unity Project 1, Assets, Textures, yep. And then we're going to go to, this one's the standard melon. If you don't remember how to fix that and make your own version, let me show you the difference between mine and the other one. This is the standard one. It has mesh, textures, and then the base map. Mine just has textures and then the base map, which is the name I put up in here. All you have to do is take the original and push this button to duplicate it and then delete those. If you need to add more stuff, you can watch one of my older videos to see how that works. Come back to your settings, make sure everything's set up, and then just say export. And you're done. Be in there. Let's go to Unity. Okay, so now we're going to come into Unity, and we're going to take the spheroid. I've imported it in already. It doesn't have a material that's set to it. I did make it, it's external, so it's still using this gray. If I look at materials, there's spheroid. I don't need to make a new one. If I want, I could. But I'm just going to throw this into the scene like that. And it's obviously, I think I told you it was too small, so just make it 4x4x4, and then you have to move it. So I want it in the center of this dias. All right, here, put it in the middle like that. Okay. Now we're going to go over to our object and open up the spheroid material like this so we can see it all. I'm going to change this to white. we're going to come to our striped sphere base and throw it into our base material right there. Then we're going to take our emissive, and we're going to take the emissive map and put it into the emissive color right here, which won't show real quick. And then we're going to take the mask and put it into the mask map, and we get our super shiny. And then we're going to take our normal, and we better check our normal real quick and make sure it's set to normal. Say apply, come back to our object, and throw our normal in, like that. And now we've got that all set up, but of course the colors aren't working, right? So we need to change this to be whatever color you want it to emit. So in this case it'll be get like purplish white, like that, and then come in here and say plus, 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 plus. And there you go. Now we've got our setup, and the one more thing you have to do is that the metal map, even though it's in here, doesn't really always do exactly what you think it's going to do. I'm not sure what the point of that is, but this is what we do. We always come back in and tweak the metal map a little bit. So now we've got it reflected. Now if we look at it, it's reflecting, but it's reflecting off of the skybox. It's not actually reflecting off of the world environment around it, and that's where we put in our sphere. So to do that, to put in our reflection sphere, we come over here to the hierarchy menu and we say, right, come over to lights, and we come down to reflection probe, excuse me, wrong term. And here's our reflection probe. I'm not showing the gizmo, so I'll turn it back on. And what it is just a box that it's just a sphere that's going to render in 6 directions and give us this dynamic sphere, or dynamic render of everything it sees within the area it's in. So what we need to do first is set up the size of the area. So we're going to come over to, yeah, I haven't seen that close before. We're going to change it to like 50, I think, and we're going to pull back out of here and see what it would look like. We just want to make sure that it's in the box, and a lot of times I'll just go to non-perspective view and pick a direction, and then I'll just do, ignoring the background over there, I'll do like 50 for this one too for now and see what we get. See, that's too high, so we'll go down to like 30, yeah, maybe. As long as it's everything. So we'll say 40, like that. We're going to come back to the 10 over here, and we're going to say 50 for this one. That's pretty good. So anything, it bounces off inside of this area. Now, obviously, you want to get this as close as you can because it makes it a little bit less area it's looking at, and we'll probably move this forward a little bit. There's a way to do it, and it wasn't working for me earlier. Now it is. So if you click this button right here, it's supposed to give you these little handles, and I can just move up where I want it to be. Makes it a lot more clean to work with. But sometimes it's a jerk, so you gotta live with what you got. If it doesn't work, then just try and eyeball it for this one. If I was in a game engine, we'd fight with it to get it just right. But for now, since it's your first time, it's not a big deal if it's a little bit off. You just want to have to grab exactly that box. Okay, so it looks like it's pretty good. I could probably pull this back a little bit more, but that's fine. So then we're going to go back in. I'm going to grab the camera. We're going to say game object, align to view. Oh, and then go to perspective too. There. And say align to view again. There. So, okay, so I got a reflection sphere sitting right here. Probably want to pull this down into the object, so it's inside the object right there, because I don't want it to reflect the object. And then this usually only works, I should tell you, emissive lights only work if you bake it. We're going to talk about baking next week. But reflective lights, you need to bake them. If you bake the environment, the lighting, it bakes the reflective light. But you can also do it by just saying bake inside of the reflection map, and it'll do it for you. It takes a second here. And there's the map it made. See how it made that map for me? And now, if I look at the sphere again, you'll see it's reflecting the world, not just the exterior shot out there. So, if we don't have baked lighting, which we don't at this point, how do we make it look like it's lighting something up? You do it the old-fashioned way. You copy the slide, copy paste, you put it inside of here, so I have a light inside of here. And probably what I would do is change this to a purple, closer to the purple that we were looking at there a second ago. Something like that. And then, you know, pull it out, or at least get it started this way. And then you can pull it in a little bit or turn it down. It doesn't have to be as bright as it is. anyway, that's just a real quick answer. Baking is a better solution. It just takes time, and I want to go over that the next one. So this should do it. Take your time, make it pretty, do your best you can. Don't do the quick one that I did. So make a pretty sphere, get it really reflective if you can, and we'll go from there.